Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
Let's see. Since the short term has higher gamma, does the short term volatility increases could do more harm than good, right? Well, okay. So I'm not sure I completely. I'm not sure I completely understand the question. But if you have an increase in volatility, then it's going to make the cost of your short term option more expensive. Well, it makes the cost of all options more expensive. In the short term, that increase in volatility could cause you to end up having to pay more if you want to close out your short-term option if it ends up in the money. If your short-term option's out of the money, the increase in volatility will be irrelevant because the short-term option will essentially just expire worthless. But if you end up closing it out at a loss because you want to maintain the long option for the longer term, then an increase in volatility will cause that option to be more expensive and you'll have to take a bigger hit. Again, I'm not a huge fan of closing out the short-term one at a loss if you don't have to, unless you're also closing out the long one at a gain. In other words, remember we said ideally we want to be right at that strike price, but if we're on the side of that strike price that makes the short-term option just slightly in the money, as long as we're still in that green zone, we can still take a profit by closing out the long leg at the same time. And an increase in volatility will actually cause both the short-term and the long-term option to be more expensive. So they'll not offset perfectly, but they'll offset a pretty fair amount. I'm not real crazy about the idea of just closing the short-term option and then holding the long-term option long-term. Even though I've got that long-term option, I'm generally doing my calendar just to make my goal and hit my green zone by the first expiration. Even though I've got that long option, it's only out there for purposes of allowing me to hopefully get into that green zone in the near term. So if you want to do that, make sure you've got a very strong opinion about where it's going to go after the first expiration before you take a loss and add to your overall debit by closing out the short leg at a loss and then maintaining the long leg.
That's very, 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 very good point. Randy, I want to say thank you. I think you've answered all the questions. You did a great job. Really appreciate it. Please check out Schwab.com for anything, any other services that Schwab can offer, and Randy's there, of course, and he said he'd answer emails if you guys have any other questions. Just, guys, want to remind you that we have plenty of articles. We have the weekly outlook, trade alerts, webinars. I do live presentations, and that's all available at the ISE. And you can actually listen to this presentation. So if you miss something, you want to listen to Randy again, you can go to www.ise.com archives, and that'll be available tomorrow morning. So, Randy, I want to say thank you on the behalf of the International Securities Exchange. You did a tremendous job. I'm getting a lot of thank yous. So, again, thank you very much, Randy. Really appreciate it.
It was absolutely my pleasure. And if anybody's interested in just general education about options related stuff, aside from all the things that you just mentioned, Steve, I've been writing articles for our customers for going on about 8 years now. There are probably close to 30 or 40 different option-related educational articles that are available on the Schwab website. You don't even have to be a customer. They're available on our prospect site. Just go to Schwab.com and type in my name. You'll get a whole list of them. So all sorts of things out there that you can. I guess what I would like to say is that there's no excuse these days for not educating yourself about the different option strategies because there's tons and tons of freely available quality educational content out there. All these things that Steve does and his coworker Alex, who I'm sure many of you know, and I've done work with Alex and Steve many, many times in the past. You don't have to pay a lot of money to go out and pay a fortune to go to seminars for people to teach you how to trade options. You can learn it all on your own, and there's a lot of really good content out there that you can get it for free. So definitely take the time and do it. But it was a pleasure working with you again, Steve.
Oh, thanks again, Randy. Love to have you back in a couple of months. Hopefully the markets will be higher, but options give all of us the ability to have limited risk. So go back to Schwab and read Randy's articles, like he said. They're all free. Check it out. Thanks again, Randy. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Just want to remind everyone that, as you can see on the slides there, Tom Busby is going to be with us next week, Reggie Horner the following week, and then Mike Tustar. So every Tuesday that we call ISE Tuesdays, you can come and sign up at www.ise.com/webinars, and we're always giving free information, free webinars. Go back to Schwab, check out Randy's articles, and as I said, you can come to the ISE for my articles there. Thank you so much, Randy. Thanks again. Really appreciate it.
It was absolutely my pleasure, Steve.
So on behalf of the International Securities Exchange, I would like to say wish everyone have a great evening and have a safe trading day tomorrow. Take care now, everyone.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.